Yo, what's up, guys? You got PokeaimMD here with my buddy Aberforth. He can say hi.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about the UBERS tier. Now, UBERS has recently had a policy change. They're going to be allowing suspect tests, and this is a big change for UBERS because suspect tests have not been allowed since the Mega Gengar mishap that happened a while back, and since Mega Rayquaza was banned to its own tier, anything goes. So I have Aberforth with me because he is a respected UBERS player, in my opinion anyway. I respect him a lot as an UBERS player, and I wanted to talk about this, and he brought it to my attention. And a lot of you guys have actually been asking me about this, so I do want to know your thoughts as well. But he can bring you up to speed, and then I'll just be chiming in here and there. So feel free to take it away, bro.
So very basically, UBERS is now going to be acting more like all of the other standard smogon tiers. So every other tier, OU through LC, all do suspect tests to try and create a better metagame, and UBERS is now going to be doing that too. The focus is going to be on having as minimal a ban list as possible, while still making UBERS playable.
Yes.
But essentially this means that there are a few things that the general UBERS community has been complaining about that will likely see a suspect, and if they reach the requirement, which is probably going to be higher than the OU requirement of 60%, somewhere between 60 and 80 most likely, then UBERS could potentially start banning things, which it hasn't done outside of general clauses and Mega Rayquaza ever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, for example, some of the things on the chopping block are things like Geomancy, Primal Groudon, and Shadow Tag, as you can see in the thread.
Yep.
Shadow Tag is the biggest one of them, most likely. I expect that one's going to be the first suspect, although I don't have confirmation of that. Just because of, like, Shadow Tag has been contentious in UBERS for... How long ago was the XY suspect?
Like, long time ago. 3 years? 3 years?
I was thinking 3 years.
3 to 4 years. It was something like that.
Yeah. Right before Oras came out.
Yeah. I just want to chime in though. I
Spinning.
absolutely loved the X and Y meta though. That was my favorite UBERS meta of all time. But yeah, you can keep going.
I didn't even play in that. I wasn't even around until
Oh,
Oras.
I brought the same team to SBL like 8 times and went like 7-1.
No, I saw the videos. But regardless, the other potentially interesting aspect that this policy change has is that
You can say
I'm
it.
not. So.
I'm so hyped for it.
Is that we might be removing Smogon-wide clauses.
Yep.
I'm not personally a fan of it, but the most notable of these that people have been talking about quite a bit lately is Species Clause.
Yo, I'm so hyped, guys. I'm gonna bring 6 Arceus to all my battles. Oh man, I'm like, UBERS for me has always been that tier where I can, like, you know, let loose, right? I can use whatever I want. You can't stop me. Up until Oras, or was it? Yeah, it was Oras when it became a tier itself, right?
Yeah, when Mega Rayquaza
So before,
was a thing.
yes, so before that, guys, UBERS was always just a ban list for OU. It was a playable ban list for OU. But then, after Mega Rayquaza went to Anything Goes, UBERS actually itself became a tier. Which started restricting things, and one of these big things that they're talking about again is Species Clause. So Species Clause is the thing that only lets us bring one of the same Pokemon to every single battle. That's why you don't see like 5 Landorus and a Greninja on every team or something like that. So the idea of UBERS actually bringing this, it's interesting because they talk about diversity isn't the ultimate goal, but it's playability. And then when you think about Species Clause, you think about a tier that's actually not playable because you'll be fighting 5 Arceus. Yeah, you'll be fighting 5 Arceus and, you know, a Marshadow in the back or whatever. So, but it's really exciting to see that this tier is actually becoming a real tier. I want to say, like, even though it's been an official tier since Oras, I think this is like the first big step. And I think, oh, you can go.
I think that's fair, and I think that what's more, Hack would agree with you 100%. He's been trying to get this to happen for a little while now, I know. And wanting to touch back on the Species Clause thing just a bit, that's not the only thing that might be looked at.
Yeah,
things like Swagger, Species,
Sleep Clause.
things like Sleep Clause, Baton Pass, Moody, things like this have all been called for to be unbanned already. So essentially, nothing is off limits, including Mega Rayquaza. So some people have already started to argue that we should suspect test Mega Rayquaza. So Ubers could be quite drastically different quite soon as well, because the intention of the Ubers tier leaders is to start doing suspects quite soon. I believe, although can't guarantee, that there'll be one done by the end of the year. And nothing is off limits. If it has enough community support, anything can be tested now. And this is... I kind of feel like this is a bit late, because
I agree.
We've been wanting this for a while now. But it's exciting to see, and it's exciting to think about the possibilities for what's for the future. I'm pretty status quo, but I don't have a strong opinion on banning or unbanning anything.
I'm excited. I'm excited personally, bro. Like, the thing is, like, and one of the things that really pushed for this was the fact that Ubers has been removed from SPL how many times now? Like, Ubers has been voted out
twice
of...
now.
Exactly, twice. And a lot of that is because, oh, people say Ubers is not a playable tier. This is this, and this. We should have Little Cup. We should have RBY. But I feel like Ubers is really going in the right direction towards actually becoming a super playable tier, just because it's taking up what actually all the other tiers have. And by having all these things tested, even maybe widening the player base by just doing this, right? Maybe some people didn't want to play because, oh, like maybe the more casual player wouldn't want to play because, oh man, I can't use Mega Rayquaza. Uber sucks, right? Let me just play OU at Landers and everywhere. But maybe now that this thing might be suspected or they're testing all these things, I'm like personally excited. You know, as a Pokemon player, I am personally excited to see how the tier changes, how the tier is shaped up. And I think Ubers has the potential to be probably one of the most stable tiers of Ultra Sun and Moon in a quicker time than all the other tiers.
I think so too, because I don't think we're far away at all.
Exactly.
From a very healthy playable metagame. I want to just touch on something. In Threads, it defines what Uber's core tiering policy will be in terms of the least amount of bans needed to maintain a playable tier, and diversity is not the ultimate goal. Those are for if something requires a suspect test. People aren't obliged to vote that way. And there's nothing like a subjective vote where you've got to put your reasoning in where it can be rejected by the tier leaders or anything. You can vote however way you want. If you don't like, the prospect of unbanning Mega Ray, even if you think it will make the tier more fine playably, you can vote whatever way you want.
Yes.
Because that was something that went wrong with the last Uber suspect, and essentially that has been quite a big reason why we've not had it thus far, I imagine.
Yeah,
I just wanted to reaffirm the fact that you can vote whatever way you want.
That's a huge reason. To weigh in a little bit on that and to give you guys some history. Basically, Mega Gengar or Shadow Tag was suspected, right? And what ended up happening was you all had to vote. Like, I even laddered for that, and I had to give a whole paragraph as to why it should be suspected. And at the end of the day, the votes were actually in the favor of not banning Shadow Tag, but because you had to write this paragraph, exactly. Fireburn ended up, well,
not just Fireburn.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. No. I love Fireburn, bro. Sorry,
essentially, what happened was the people who were deciding if reasoning was sufficient were two people who were very pro-ban and one guy who was kind of neutral.
Yes,
so
exactly.
there was a bias, and I'm not saying that they deliberately tried to censor them, but there was a bias in their own thoughts and opinions as to what reasonable reasoning would be, and so it created a dynamic where even if they acted entirely honestly, which I do believe that they did, I do believe they had the integrity to do that, there was so much of a question of bias, and the way that it was handled was such that there was just no way that the results could be allowed to stand in the way that they
exactly
were.
And this is where Chaos stepped in and said, you know what, I'm gonna take control. Chaos is the guy who made Smogon, by the way, guys. He's the guy who programmed it, did all this stuff, still occasionally comes out and does all that stuff, but he came in, made the anything goes tier, made it so Ubers cannot have suspect tests, and pretty much decided that all. And I do want to go back to that real quick. Soulgazer and I both got Rex, right? You know, SG is my good friend, and he asked me for a paragraph of what to say. So I basically gave him mine, and he reworded it.
Oh yeah, that happened as well.
Yeah, his got rejected, and mine's got accepted for the ban of Shadow Tag. So that was interesting. Like, again, And I loved everybody who was the Uber's leaders. I feel like they knew what they were doing and they were fine, but just that was not the right approach. But this going forward, and again, you know, the places they actually call going forward, I think this is to backpedal on what I was saying, or to go back rather to what I was saying. This has the potential to make this tier probably the most balanced, quickest in Gen 7, because with Ultra Sun and Moon, you know, we got all these Pokemon. When Sun and Moon was ended, the tiers were still all mixed up, right? Like, there were so many Pokemon that shouldn't be places. Yeah, no, Ubers is fine. Ubers is fine, right? But then, you know, we got Marshadow, and then, you know, Gothitzel came out, and, you know, people start complaining, whatever. But a lot of the tiers, you could argue that there was still stuff going on with OU, like we have Magearna, Greninja, and now, you know, we have Naganadel, which is, at the point of this video going up, it might actually be banned. I might have already put up a video about that, I don't know, because it's late when I'm recording this, and it'll be early when that happens. But time of the video might be banned, so the fact that they're acting this quickly and they're just going to keep doing these suspect tests and take it from the potential, and the fact that Ubers doesn't care about the other tiers at all, which is a big thing, right? Because just like Little Cup, Ubers does not care about OU, UU, RU, NU, whatever happens. So if a Pokemon moves up by usage, that doesn't happen in Ubers, right? Ubers is very rarely shaked up unless a Pokemon is banned from OU. So
no, even then, like,
exactly, it doesn't matter. You can use that Pokemon
from the start of the generation onwards. There's no Pokemon that you can't use in Ubers unless it's literally not released. And often the Pokemon that aren't released aren't really the ones that you'll see used in Ubers. No one was complaining that Volcanion wasn't coming out for Ubers, for example.
Yeah.
And the Zero Aura one. What's it called? The electric one this gen.
The one that's not released, and I don't want to spoil some people that don't, so we're going to keep going.
My apologies.
No, don't worry about it.
That one. No one's caring about that one either.
Yeah, exactly. No.
But so Ubers is very rarely shaken up unless someone has done something very creative in team building. So it's going to be quite easy, likely, to create a quite stable tier quite quickly. Whereas UU always has to deal with things like maybe what's something in OU, like Tapu Bulu dropping to UU or something.
Yeah, something like that would mess it up. Exactly. Like UU has probably been the one that has been shaken up the most. Like you got Rotom dropping down there. Like all these tier changes every single time. It's just based on usage too. Ubers isn't a tier that's affected by that. So that's pretty cool. Like I said, I'm personally excited about the clauses because even though I'm a competitive player, like you guys know, I love just messing around with things. So I think the idea of being able to use 2 Primal Groudons, 3 Arceus, and a Magearna or something like that, or an Yveltal, it sounds amazing. And I'm pretty sure it wouldn't pass, but just laddering for that would be so fun. I don't know.
We'll get to see, because for all I know, that meta will actually end up being a lot better.
Yeah,
so
it
could very well be that I ladder in that and I think, no, hey, this is actually a lot better for the tier. I want to keep it this way.
Yeah,
but
man. Like,
I mean, there's no real way to know.
Dude,
right
imagine
now,
imagine holy crap, man. I'm weak to Arceus Dark, Salamence, Yveltal, Marshadow, Primal Groudon,
Are you
and
thinking of
Kyogre.
literally everything that Arceus Fairy can
So I was like, let me put Arceus Fairy, Arceus Ground, and Arceus Water on my team, and I can beat all of those.
Yeah, exactly. That's the.
Now let me dump Shadow.
I'm not looking
let me dump Shadow Tag on my. You know what? Let me forget about plates. Let me put Shed Shell on all my Arceus. I don't like things like that.
We can't break the game itself.
I know. Unfortunately, they wouldn't do something like that. Custom games can.
I feel like that might be important to mention, just because we're not literally trying to make it balanced Hackmons or anything.
Yes.
It does have to be legal in the game.
Correct.
Yeah.
So again, when we talk about standard clauses, you got Swagger, Evasion, Species Clause, Sleep Clause,
Swagger's gone,
Infinite.
by the way. You can use Swagger and Ubers as of right now.
Oh, okay, cool. Whatever. I don't care about Swagger right now. It's not as good. No, I mean, it's not as good as it was anyway. But that's definitely one of them. The other one, Infinite Battle Clause with the Lepa Berry, I think is what's it called?
I feel like that can be safely undone in Ubers.
Yeah, ain't nobody. Yeah. It's not even that. Like, you're actually not beating anybody with that. Like, Uber's mons are too powerful, I feel, to do that. Maybe there's a way that can work. Who knows? But
I mean, kind of, if you use like a Shadow Tagmon with, do any Shadow Tagmons get Memento? But even then, no, you gotta click.
Dream World Chandler from 5th Gen.
No, maybe Clefty Fairy Lock into Death into Slow. No, it still doesn't work because you still need to be. No, Endless Battle Clause could be safely gotten rid of, I believe.
Yeah, but I don't know, like, as for going forward, who knows what the meta will happen, but I think this is definitely a positive change for Ubers. I think it's something that Ubers needed to shake it up a little bit and hopefully get it more respected as a tier, because the fact that they weren't included in SPL, I want to say that's a lot. Some of that has to do with the player base itself, though. Like, some of the games were like, I don't want to get too much. I don't want to get too much into anything, man, because I also played Ubers in SPL, but like, and I'm a little bit biased towards it as well. But in some generations, it was just
some of the games in some of the more recent SPLs and some of the players that have been picked for them have been underwhelming.
Yes, that's probably the best way to say it. Like, some people, it didn't look like a tournament level game at some point.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And it was happening not just one game; it was happening multiple times across the entire season. So I completely understand where this is coming from. I think again, we want to know your thoughts. Do you have anything else to add, bro?
Not that I can think of. No.
Yeah. Well, like we said, the goal is the ultimate goal for Ubers is not diversity. So he don't care if you have Primal Groudon on all your teams. Speaking of which, Primal Groudon is literally the GSC Snorlax, the Landers of OU. It's better to have it on your team.
If Primal Groudon was a suspect, and I believe it will, because I think that enough people will call for it to be.
I
don't think it will get banned, and I don't think it should get banned.
If it does get banned, dude, it literally tilts the balance, and Xerneas gets 10 million times better.
Oh, dude. Xerneas,
Palkia.
Primal Kyogre.
Yes, Primal Kyogre, Palkia, every Pokemon gets better. And it's funny because if Primal Groudon gets banned,
it's holding the tier together
like
glue.
Exactly. It's literally glue. It's so good in the sense that you need it on your team, but you don't always have to use it on your team, but it's making other Pokemon not broken either.
The main thing about Primal Groudon is it's so good with roll compression.
Yes.
Because and I think in Species Clause, if we got rid of that, we definitely see Primal Groudon go down in usage a lot, because essentially what Primal Groudon brings for a team is Rocker, powerful attacker, powerful special attacker perhaps, a good Toxic Mon, a good Spadefmon, a good Xerneas switch in, Primal Kyogre, excellent answer, good response to Steel types, good status spreader.
But when you can have 5 of them on your team, you can't do it.
Xerneas, and those roles can all be done by things like other Arceus types, but you can only use one Arceus type.
Exactly.
And so Primal Groudon becomes the jack of all trades, and it does all of them really well. But when you can use all the Arceus forms on all of your teams, then it doesn't really need to be used as much, basically.
Yes.
Especially because the Arceus forms that check it will be everywhere as well. So it's worth pointing out that Species Clause isn't just a matter of 6 Primal Groudons or 6 Arceuses or things like that. It would be a little bit more subtle than that.
Yes. I agree.
Okay, I think that's all I've got to say on the matter.
No, I agree completely, and yeah, like you said, Primal Groudon is really that Pokemon that holds the glue together. But it's really interesting to think about, though, what they have, like Primal Groudon, Geomancy, and Shadow Tag. Geomancy, well, I mean, Geomancy is pretty nasty, but I don't know, I'm really excited, like I said, guys.
Yeah.
And do let us know your thoughts. You can leave them down below. Definitely expect suspect tests on this channel, as if Ubers does end up going into suspect tests anytime soon, as I always do with every other tier. And yeah, check out Aberforth. His link will be down below. Thank you so much for joining me, my friend. And
no problem.
yeah, let us know your thoughts, like I said. So goodbye, friends.